special forces units in the Israel Defense Forces encompass a broad definition of specialist units. Such units are usually a company or a battalion in strength. Sayeret, or reconnaissance units in the Israel Defense Forces, specialize in intelligence gathering and surveillance. In practice, these units specialize in commando and other special forces roles, in addition to reconnaissance. Mr. Avim, also spelled as Mr. Avim, is the name given to those counter-terrorism units of the Israel Defense Forces and Israel Border Police in which officers are specifically trained to operate undercover, in enemy territory, in order to assassinate or capture wanted terrorists. Special Forces units in the IDF. Unit 101 Commando Unit 101, the founding Israeli Special Forces unit, was established and commanded by Ariel Sharon on orders from Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion in August 1953. They were armed with non-standard weapons and tasked with carrying out retribution operations across the state's borders. In particular, establishing small unit maneuvers, activation and tactical insertion and exit tactics. Members of the unit were recruited only from agricultural kibbutz and moshavs. Membership in the unit was by invitation only, and any new member had to be voted on by all existing members before they were accepted. The unit was merged into the 890th Paratroop Battalion during January 1954, on orders of General Dallon, Chief of Staff, because he wanted their experience and spirit to be spread among all infantry units of IDF starting with the paratroopers. They are considered to have had a significant influence on the development of subsequent Israeli Special Forces units. Sayeret units today. All combat brigades in the IDF have a unit with improved weaponry and training used for reconnaissance and special forces missions, trained to use advanced weapons and reconnaissance technology, as well as hand-to-hand combat. Historically, the brigades used to only have one company-sized unit outfitted to do this job, known as Palsa/Plugot Sayeret, Reconnaissance Company. Although the Palsa are mostly oriented at battlefield support, many have participated in special operations during recent years. All infantry units as well as some armored units have Palsa. While in the past there were differences between the Sayeret units, due to the experiences of the past decades, the IDF is now consolidating them into larger units with many different capabilities, battalion-sized units called Gadza. Each Gadza is made up of 3 specialized Plugot, demolitions and combat engineering, reconnaissance and anti-tank. This is part of the YATA project. This project aims at changing the reconnaissance battalions into specialized urban counter-terror units, that are specifically trained and equipped to operate in current combat situations. Other Sayeret are larger units, operating under corps and commands. There are several battalion-size special forces units which report directly to regional, functional and the general commands. The best known of these are Sayeret Matkal, Sayeret 13 and Yehudat Sholdag. Known Sayeret units. Principal 3 Special Forces units. These are the most well-known commando units. Their operators are proficient in long-range solo navigation, as opposed to other units where long-range navigation is done with a minimum of 2 fighters. Sayeret Matkal the IDF's principal Sayeret unit, used mainly to obtain strategic intelligence behind enemy lines and to perform hostage rescue missions on foreign soil. It is directly subordinate to the Israeli Military Intelligence Directorate. Sayeret 13 the Naval Commando Unit, equivalent to the U.S. Navy SEALs or British Special Boat Service. Also tasked with maritime hostage rescue missions. Part of the Israeli Navy. Founded in 1948 by former members of the Battalion, the naval branch of the Haganah. Sholdag Unit founded in 1974 by several former Sayeret Matkal veterans, it is the Israeli Air Force's commando unit, specializing in forward air control, aerial and special reconnaissance, and target designation outside of Israel's borders. Infantry Corps. Igos Reconnaissance Unit counter-guerrilla unit, originally for operating in southern Lebanon. Part of Golani Brigade. Rimmon Reconnaissance Unit commando unit of the Southern Command, specializes in desert warfare. part of Javati Brigade. Unit Alpinistum, a IDF mountain warfare unit operating in the Golan Heights. Provides protection for IDF electronic listening posts on Mount Hermon and Har Vital. This unit also provides alpine rescue services. Wakits Unit, a the IDF Special K9 unit. Also, 4 of the 5 infantry brigades operate their own pulsars, the infantry Sayeret. Each unit is subordinate to a specific regional command, though they are not restricted to these. Gadza Noel, Gadza Zanhanim, Gadza Golani, Gadza Javati. Armored Corps Pulsar 7, a the 7th Armored Brigade Reconnaissance Unit. Pulsar 188, a the 188th Armored Brigade Reconnaissance Unit. Pulsar 401, a the 401st Brigade Reconnaissance Unit. Artillery Corps Mayat Moran, a unit operating long-range precision-guided missiles. Skyrider, a combat unit operating the Elbit Skylark drone. Combat Engineering Corps Sayeret Yahalom, the Engineering Special Forces Unit. Its missions range from EOD and bomb disposal to counter-mining warfare. Combat Intelligence Collection Corps Special Forces detachments belonging to the Corps. Air Force Unit 669, a Combat Search and Rescue Unit, also in charge of civilian rescue services in peacetime. Unit Yanmam, a Airborne Capable Anti-Aircraft Unit. Unit 5700, Aircraft Landscape and Desert Specialist. Navy Sayeret 7, a the Submarine Unit. Unit Yaltam, a Salvage and Recovery Unit. Unit Yuban, a Force Protection Unit. Other units Duvdovan Unit, a Special Undercover Unit, subordinate to the Judea and Samaria Division. As a Mr. Evim Unit. Operators in the unit are trained conducting undercover operations disguised as Arabs in urban areas. They traditionally do not allow their real identities to become known to people outside their unit, and go to great lengths to avoid being recorded electronically or otherwise. Maglan, a commando unit which specializes in operating behind enemy lines, only became publicly known in 2006. LOTAR Eilat, a Reserve Force Counter-Terrorism Hostage Rescue Unit based at the southern Israeli port city of Eilat. Disbanded units Unit 101, a the 1st Israeli Special Forces Unit, commanded by Ariel Sharon. Samson Unit, a former Gaza Strip Counter-Terrorist Unit. Sayeret Haruva, former IDF Central Command Special Forces Unit. Sayeret Jagta, former IDF Southern Command Special Forces Unit. Special Forces Units in the Israeli Border Police. The Yamam is the Israeli elite counter-terrorism unit. This is one of the best units in the world, due to the courage and experience of the unit and its fighters. The unit's activity is classified and works closely with the Shin Bet. Yamas is a special operations and Mr. Avim unit directly subordinate to the army. Special departments within the Mossad, Kidden, the name of a department within Israel's Mossad that is allegedly responsible for the execution of terrorists. Jibush, young Israelis wanting to serve in the Sayeret usually go to Yom Sayeret. Held at the Wingate Institute, Yom Sayeret is a day where prospective recruits undergo a series of physical and mental tests to evaluate their aptitude for service in several units. Those wanting to join Sayeret Matkal, Shaldag, Unit 669, Sayeret 13, the submarine service or Hervla must go to Yom Sayeret and perform the respective tests for each service option. Other Sayeret recruit their operatives from the best recruits of the respective parent units. For instance, those who excelled during training in the Paratroopers Brigade are invited to try to join Duvdovan, Maglan or the Special Forces Battalion of the brigade. The best of recruits of the Armored Corps are invited to apply for service in the Armored Reconnaissance Units, etc. Dropouts from some Sayeret might be able to join other, less demanding Sayeret units. For instance, dropouts from Sayeret 13 might be able to go to Unit Yaltam or Yoban. Dropouts from Shaldag can end up in Unit Yamam. The reserve Sayeret such as Alpinistim or Lotarelat usually recruit its members after they finished the mandatory 3-year service in some units. Alpinistim draws its members primarily from Golani and Lotarelat draws its members from former Kravi that live in Eilat. See also, Yamama the elite SWAT unit in Israel, Yamaza the Israeli Police Special Operations Unit, Shin Bet Israel's Internal Security Agency, Amana Israel's Military Intelligence Agency, Mossad Israel's Cover Intelligence and Special Operations Agency, Kidna a department within Mossad that is allegedly responsible for assassination. Sayeret. References. External links, IDF official website, sayeret.com, Israeli Special Forces Database.